Valve authority. How many of you heard about valve authority? I know that when I'm mentioning about valve authority, it is related to valve sizing. Valve authority is key concept in HVAC control valve sizing actually. It describes how effectively controlling the valve and it can regulate the flow in the system, which means how much this valve influence in the entire piping system, which includes coil, fittings, reducer, etc. So using this valve authority, we can able to tell that how much accurately it will control the flow actually, whether it will give the stability control or it will give the hunting at the pipeline. So we have a certain formula for this. I can say this, the basic definition. The valve authority is defined as the ratio between the pressure drop across the valve, which is fully open at the time, and the total pressure drop across the entire control circuit, which means it include valve, coil, piping, and other fittings and reducers, etc. So the valve authority, pressure drop across the valve, which means at the time of fully open how much pressure it's happen at the valve, so that will be the pressure drop at the valve. Pressure at the system, which means our pressure drop at the system, which means the rest of the circuit except the valve, like we have straighteners, fittings, reducers, coils, those are the elements are giving the resistance and it will reduce the pressure at the line. So that is known as a system pressure. And typically using these two pressure, valve and system pressure, using this two pressure, we will calculate the valve authority. So typical value for modulating control, the ranges they given that as per ASHRAE standard 0.3 to 0.5, some of them using up to 0.7. After calculating this valve authority, the ranges has to fall under 0.3 to 0.5, that is the recommended valve authority. So if you want a precision control, I would recommend you can size the valve less than 0.5, which means it has to be fall between 0.3 to 0.5. So it will give the stabilized control. Why the valve authorities matter in the valve sizing? If you want a good control, if you want accuracy, then you need to stick with the recommended value. Otherwise, what will happen if you go with the low valve authority, which means the valve will causes the small portion of the total pressure drop. So the system will become less sensitive to the valve movement. So it causing that unstable control or hunting at the line actually. Due to your sizing that low valve authority, it will give the unstable control or hunting at the line actually. If you want an energy efficiency based proper valve control, stabilized control, the flow has to be grow properly and it has to run response the temperature, whatever the settings they given, that accordingly it has to respond, avoiding that excessive pump energy, because pump energy also matter in the valve authority, because if you are going with a high size of valve authority, it will build a pressure at the line and it will give the uh, more pressure to or excessive pressure to the pumping side. Unnecessarily pump will take a more energy to push the flow of the water. So oversizing also will be a problem, and lower valve authority also problem. So you want a stability and rangeability control, you want to be stick with closer to that 0.5 valve, which is we calculated from the given pressure values actually. The smooth modulation happen at the near to 0.5 valve. Coming to that some small example, in this example I'm just going to give some random value. For example, the pressure drop across the coil and piping is 8 kilopascal, and valve pressure drop fully open it's 4 kilopascal. Your valve authority will be 4 divided by 4 plus 8, which means 4 is your valve pressure drop, and divided by summation of the total pressure, which means valve pressure and then the system pressure. So 4 divided by 12 equal to, it will be come around 0.33. So which means the ranges is fall under 0.3 to 0.5, which means this is acceptable and good control, and it will give the stability as we expected actually. If we go less than 0.3, then as I said that you can expect hunting or unstable control. If you go oversizing also, it will build the pressure at the pump side. So I hope this video will helpful to understand and importance of the valve authority, and we will see the next video. Thank you.